Peace and blessings, my collective. Welcome back from the trenches to the cosmos, where we take life lessons from the trenches of life and connect them to the wisdom of the universe. If you have Taurus anywhere in your chart, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus, this message may resonate with you. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the energy surrounding Taurus for the month of March. Right now, we have strong Pisces energy in the sky, with the Sun, Mercury, Mars moving through Pisces. For Taurus, this energy activates the 11th house, which is connected to friendships, community, long-term goals, and the vision you have for your future. This kind of energy can bring Taurus into a more reflective space where you begin thinking about the bigger picture of life, the people around you, the goals you're working toward, and whether the direction you're moving in truly aligns with the future you want to build. At the same time, Venus, your ruling planet, is moving through Aries, which activates the 12th house. The 12th house is associated with reflection, healing, and the deeper subconscious parts of our lives. So Taurus, you may find yourself going inward a bit more during this time. Reflecting, reassessing, and paying attention to what your intuition is trying to show you. When you combine this with Jupiter in Cancer, which supports growth through communication and new ideas, there may also be opportunities for you, Taurus, to expand your thinking and see situations from a broader perspective. So overall, the energy right now may be encouraging you, Taurus, to slow down for a moment, reflect, and gain clarity before the next chapter begins. Before we begin, I've already pre-shuffled the deck and allowed the cards to reveal the message for this reading. And one thing I love to do on this channel is look into the current planetary transits to see how they align with the intuitive messages of the cards. So the 3 cards that came out for Taurus. Let's take a deep dive in and see what's going on here. Right away, I see something interesting happening in the spread, and I felt it when I was shuffling and they were jumping out one by one. Two of the cards, the Judgment, the Chariot and Judgment are both major arcanas, and they usually represent larger themes, turning points, or moments of spiritual realization. And sitting right in between, you have the 7 of Pentacles, which represents patience, reflection, and evaluating the results of the work you put in. Stepping back and looking at that hard work you put in and seeing and giving yourself credit for it. So symbolically, the spread, it already tells a story. It begins with movement, pauses for reflection, and then ends with awakening. Beautiful story. In other words, move forward, evaluate the path, and then arrive at a point of realization. So what's interesting here is that this spread begins with movement and then it ends with awakening. And that's pretty dope, because it's almost like Taurus is being guided through a process of realizing where your life is meant to go in your next chapter. And the 7 of Pentacles, sitting between the 2 major arcanas, it almost acts like a bridge in the story. It represents the moment where you stop and you look at what you've built so far before stepping into the next phase. So let's deep dive. Let's take a closer look. Card number 1 that came out in the spread is the Chariot. Now, the Chariot represents determination, movement, and taking control of your direction. This card often appears when someone is learning how to harness their willpower and steer their life toward a specific goal. So for you, Taurus, this may represent a moment where you recognize that progress requires intentional movement. The Chariot reminds us that even when life represents opposing forces, focus and discipline allow us to move forward. This card may also symbolize the moment where you're no longer allowing outside circumstances to control your path. Instead, you take the reins yourself and move forward with purpose. And can nothing stop you. And card number 2 is the Seven of Pentacles. This card carries strong earth energy, which naturally resonates with Taurus anyway, because you are an earth element. The Seven of Pentacles is about patience, growth, and taking a step back actually to evaluate what you've been cultivating. Taking a step back and looking at the work you put in. In the card, you see someone pausing to reflect on what they've been investing their time and energy into. For you, Taurus, this is like a moment of reflection where you get to see what you've invested your energy into. It represents a moment where you're literally stepping back and looking at what your work has manifested, whether it's your career, your finances, relationships, or your personal development, and asking yourself whether the results align with what you truly want or not. So the Seven of Pentacles reminds us that growth takes time. It takes time, but it also encourages us to check in with ourselves to make sure that what we're investing in does it really align with our long-term vision? You know, all that hard work we're putting in, does it align with what we want to manifest in the near future? All right. So the third card that came out in this spread, we have the Judgment. Now the Judgment is a powerful card that represents awakening, realization, and answering that higher calling. In the imagery, what you see is people rising as a trumpet sounds from above, symbolizing a moment where clarity arrives and something awakens within us. So for Taurus, this may represent a period where you're seeing life from a higher perspective, where you're in your higher octave. Sometimes judgment appears when you're being called to release the past and make an important decision, or step into a new chapter that aligns more closely with your purpose. So this card often represents a moment of a realization, or when something inside you simply knows it's time for change. So it's a beautiful spread. So now connecting tarot to the transits. When we connect the tarot to the transits, what's interesting about the spread is that the clear progression in the cards. It's a clear progression. First, we see the Chariot, which represents the movement and taking control of your direction. Pardon me, yo. I had to turn up the volume to the TV here because I like to hear my what do you call these soundscapes in the background when I'm doing the readings. It helps me tap into the moment. All right. Anyway, you should try it. You know, if you guys want to relax, you know, you put in soundscapes in the YouTube search bar, and you know, just play some of them tunes that nothing but sounds, instruments, and percussions that, you know, they get you in alignment a little bit. Okay, back to the reading, guys. Come on, let's focus. All right, so first we see the Chariot, which represents movement and taking control of your direction. And then we see the Seven of Pentacles, which represents reflection and evaluating what you've been building. And then finally, you see Judgment, which represents awakening and stepping into a new level of awareness. So the cards, they show a process. And I love when the reading comes out this way. It comes out in a storyline, like in alignment. You know, it's giving you, Taurus, this is your reading, a clear picture of the process. First deciding to move forward, then pausing to evaluate your path, the path that you're on, and then finally receiving the clarity needed to step into the next chapter of your life. Now, when we connect the current planetary transit, it makes it makes sense even more. The strong Pisces energy activating Taurus's 11th house brings you reflection about your future and the direction that you're heading. It's plain there to see that Venus and when you have Venus moving through the 12th house, it encourages deeper inner reflection and emotional clarity. So this may be a period where you, Taurus, you're moving forward and reflecting at the same time, gaining insight simultaneously about what the next chapter of life should look like for you. So, for the spiritual takeaway, Taurus, the message here is simply this: you may be standing at a point where you're reassessing the direction of your life. You've already been putting in the work, and you've already been building something over time. So now the question becomes, is the path you're on still the path your soul wants to follow? Sometimes the universe asks us to pause and reflect before it opens the next door. And this may be one of those moments for you, Taurus. I had a good time doing your reading. I'm also an Earth element, Virgo, strongly in my chart. And I have Taurian placements, so some of this resonates with me as well. But until next time, from the trenches to the cosmos, my collective, stay blessed, and I'll see you next time.